In action, and we are live. Good evening, everybody. Sunday evening in the cavern. Very welcome. Before I start, I have some really good news for anybody interested in stone lifting and stuff that we do. The gathering, we had a meeting of the gathering committee on Friday, and the gathering is now officially going ahead. So we have a date of Sunday, the 7th of August. Obviously there'll be more details coming along. It'll be the day after the Boyne Highland Games, which we've just had confirmation that the Boyne Highland Games are actually going to go ahead this year, which is great because they've been cancelled the last 2 years, which obviously has had an impact on how we've been able to manage the gathering. But over the last 2 years now, through all this COVID stuff we've had to deal with, we've been able to put on a virtual gathering in 2020, and in 2021 we actually ran a sort of semi-private event at the Lodge in the Loch in Boyne, which was both amazing events. But we're now back to full steam again, full power. I'm really excited about it. So we're going to start, obviously we'll be talking about what events we're going to do. It's just, at least there's so much kind of now to get done. But at least we can now get off and do that. And from what I can gather, all restrictions are more or less lifted from us, so we can actually put on the full show. So I'll obviously give more about that as time goes on, and we get more information. We'll start publicising stuff. Dinny lifts. There's a lot of guys have been contacting Jim, Brett, myself, to see, what's happening with the dinnies. That is all going to be up and running again, what we're going to do. I think there's going to be at least sort of 2 dates in a month set aside. That's going to be specifically set aside for guys who want to come and lift the stones. So they'll be by appointment. So an email to Belogie Estate to set up your date of the dates available. I get those published as soon as I have them. Agree the date, and once we're done with that, then I can actually start publicising, who's going to be lifting and when, etc. We weren't allowed to do that before because, obviously with the social distancing, we weren't allowed crowds gathering at Belogie, so we couldn't publicise those. But that's all up and running again now. So news is very, very, very positive. Really looking forward to this year. Really looking forward to the gathering. Really looking forward to tonight, speaking to my pal Martin Janksics. Martin, I met in around 2016 when we were doing Stoneland, and a really nice guy. Him and my dad and I, we just got on really well together, and we've been good friends ever since. And Martin, anybody who knows about stone has most likely heard of Martin because, he's written books on the subject. Speaking of which, this is Martin's book for anybody who hasn't seen it. Available at a good bookstore near you and on Amazon. Very cool picture in the front. I thought his choice of picture was very cool. So yeah, Martin's very prolific in the stone lifting world. He's probably lifted most of the historic stones around Scotland. He's travelled all over the place, and on his stone lifting adventures, he would be probably one of the go-to guys. If you want to organise a stone lifting tour, and there's a few guys like that. With James Graham, Jimmy Gorian, Andy Kearney. There's a lot of guys who actually organise these tours and take their pals around. Martin's definitely one of those guys, and certainly worth contacting if you wish to do a stone lifting tour, so you're not hooking around for stones that are hidden in a field. Martin is, like I say, he's written a book. I think he's actually writing a new book. We'll talk more about that tonight. And the stuff that he's done with the stones, he has really been one of the guys that's kind of brought the whole stone lifting culture back to life again. I'd say him and a handful of other guys have really played a massive part in that. So we're looking forward to chatting about all that. He has trips coming up. He has books he's writing. He's famous for this, putting the inverse stone on his shoulder and taking a selfie. Stuff like that. He's part of the gathering committee. He's part of the Dinny Stones committee. So he gets involved in everything. So I'm going to try and invite him in here. Let me see now. How do I do that? I think it's this. Let's see, Martin. Martin, the Stone Man. He's called the Stone Man. Big to us. There we go. So that, I'll go back here. There he's there. Wow. Good man, Martin. Nice hat.
Hey, bud.
Is the weather the same in Scotland as it is here in Belfast? It's blowing a bloody gale here.
Oh, it's the same here.
Yeah.
Well, it was 2 days ago, but it's not as bad.
Right, okay.
Weather's coming and going. It's all good stone lifting weather.
Good to see you, mate. Haven't spoken to you for a wee while. I've been looking forward to this one, because I know you had lots of stuff coming up, and it was on, it was off, So I thought I would kind of wait until you were more settled on your plans, and here we are now. My goodness, you have the world at your fingertips this year. There's so much coming up. I had sort of made a wee list, and I didn't want to forget anything, but obviously you'll not forget because you're the one doing it. So,
Well, I'll just say that.
Did you see my wee plug about your book? Did you see my wee plug about your book?
I'm not sure about the very last photograph.
I'll tell you what, you see that photograph, that's the best photograph you could have done. Amazing. Very good taste. It was. So, you've heard the news about the gathering. It's all systems go, full steam ahead. Very positive.
I would have been on the online meeting, but apologies for that because I've got a meeting with a publisher for the new book.
Okay.
So I can get it into shops as well as online.
Excellent.
But then I got mixed up with I was talking to him next week. And I thought I was talking to them this week, and we weren't.
So I'm just getting old age, but it happens to us all, That's
I'm catching up with you, man.
Starting to die. There's no bother. Listen, we have removed you officially from the gathering committee. I'm only kidding, mate. No, you were missed, but it was a very positive meeting. It was, and I'm really looking forward now to getting everything moving now, getting the athletes invited, getting the events, what we want to do. There's a few bits and pieces we talked about, that if we can get this happening, it'll be very exciting. Obviously, I would love to announce it, but until we have all the ducks lined up, you know what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's good. If it goes ahead, it's going to be a very, very, well, maybe the most special one yet.
Sorry about all the cloak and dagger, everybody, but it's going to be worth waiting for if we can get this.
100%.
Yeah,
it's very exciting news. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff.
So, tell me what you've been at. You've been a busy boy recently. We've been talking about things like your tire flipping, the farm strong games. We can talk about that maybe later on. How your plans are coming on for that.
To start with the tire flip. I've put it up before. It's at 300 kilos for 24 hours.
24 hours?
I've done a few tire flips in the past with some people, but then I want to really do it again on myself and finish off on a big high. So I'm doing a 300 kilos for 24 hours and going for anywhere between 800 and 1,000 flips in that 24 hours.
Great.
I've contacted the Guinness World Records. I'm just waiting to hear back for them to see if it would be worth putting up there or what they think. And when I was actually trying to get, I've got a tyre, and when I was trying to get the weight of the tyre, I contacted the company, who's Double Coin Tyres, they're called, who actually manufactured the tyre. And then they gave me an email back, because I said to them what I'm doing, just sort of take me serious and give me a proper weight. And they contacted me back and asked if they can pass on my details to somebody else within the company. And then they then passed on my details to the CEO of the company. And he got on to somebody else, like the marketing manager. And then he got in touch with me. And they're planning giving me a 300 kilogram brand new tyre to train with. And we're speaking about me going over to California to do the tyre flip in their factory. Outside the factory there. And when I set up like a marquee and a live Instagram feed for my channel, their channel as well, So it's looking pretty cool.
I don't think I could do 1,000 flips off my car tire, let alone a 300. So 1,000 flips. I mean, what's kind of? What would be the format of the day? Would you kind of do like a burst of maybe 5 or 10 minutes, take a break, or are you going to take an hour, take a break? What's the plan for that?
Well, I remember the last tire flip I did. We did a 280 kilogram tire for 3.5 hours. Flipped it maybe. I can't actually remember how many times I flipped it. But in training, kind of trained myself for that one. And the other guys trained themselves as well. But in training, I've got a 500 kilogram, 500 pound tire. Which is 225 kilos, 226, something like that. And maybe 3 weeks before the actual big tire flip, I flipped that for about 2.5 hours and half a mile, 400 flips. Just to get the cardio going. So I'll probably do the same again. I'll do like 2 or 3 hours, then have a lot of break, and then do another like 2 or 3 hours and keep going that way. I'll do a good 2 hours at it. I mean, when I'm flipping the tyre I've got just now is 336 kilograms.
Right.
And when I flip that, I flip it for maybe an hour, and then I have a little break.
Okay.
So I'll probably do 2 to 3 hours flipping, and then I'll stop for maybe 30 minutes and then go again. Something like that.
That's incredible. So I take it, I mean, are you going to, is it for a charitable cause that you're doing the thing for? Is it, or is it just a personal challenge you want to do?
Well, it was just a personal challenge, but now I'm actually trying to develop a charity myself. Okay. And I'm thinking of doing it for a charity now. Because I'm wanting to get kind of getting highly involved in charities now. Yes. I mean, I'm doing a charity now called Double Strength to help people suffering from PTSD, from the military to like, the ambulance services, well, all the kind of blue light services in the military and stuff. Okay. Hoping I can like teach them stone lifting and like strongman stuff. Yeah. And then give them like the background history, can make it really exciting for them. Well, it is anyway, you know. And then hopefully I can strengthen, give them something new to focus on, strengthen their bodies, and then a strong body leads to a strong mind, and then a strong mind can then help you in everyday life. Yeah, and overcome the pressures that the PTSD brings, yeah. But I'm also wanting to do something later on for kids as well. You know, give them like a start in stone lifting and strongman stuff, and then give them something to do. Say I'm hanging about in street corners and stuff like we used to do. You know, and then like do like a beginner sort of thing, and then an intermediate, and then advanced as the kids kind of go on. You know, do it for over years. That sounds fantastic, Martin. Good on you, mate. Listen, count me in for any help that you need on that. I mean, that sounds fantastic. But it sounds really difficult. Yeah, well, there's a lot of research into it. I mean, you sit and think about that for a second. That's incredible. You know, well, it's going to be a good one. It'll be a good challenge. Like, I remember once when I was training with the guys over in the Shankill, with Big Brian Irwin and the guys, I flipped a 345 kilogram tower, but I did a single flip, and I think it took me a week to recover from it. So that's just trying to put some perspective in my own mind on what it is you're actually about to achieve. What about the pressure on your fingers and your tendons and your forearms? I mean, that must be massive. You know, when I first started flipping tires, I got into it in the first place because I did powerlifting for a year. Well, I started with the stones. I started powerlifting. Then I went and found out about the Inverstone, lifted that. That's when I met Peter Martin. And then I went down to Glasgow for the Scottish Championships, and then I went back a few months later and did the British to qualify for the British. I qualified for the British, but then 2 weeks after that, I got my appendix out. And then I remember I went back to powerlifting. I thought I'd take a little break, and then but then I thought, well, I want to do something for charity. So I've always wanted to do something for charity. Yeah. So then I had a tyre, a 500-pound tyre. We used to do tug of war. And I thought, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip a tyre for charity. And then I called it Power Fun Day. So I organised a massive event, kids stuff, stalls, everything planned for the whole family. Cool. Had a little strongman competition, but nothing major. We flipped a tyre for a mile in the park, 3 of us. Just back and for a 50-metre track. Then the year after that, I did it. That was for charity was for Meningitis UK. Okay. So I had meningitis when I was six weeks old, so I wanted to do something for that. And then the year after that, we did it again, but for a local charity, the MFR Cash for Kids. The thing up here for all the money goes to like kids that need help and stuff. Maybe they've lost their homes or they come from bad homes and stuff like that. I'm good on you. It's good stuff, man. It really is. Did it for 3 years in a row, but now I want to do something on my own. Guy, so tire flipping is not a new thing for you. You've been at that for probably longer actually, with the sound of it, than you have actually been at stone lifting. I started doing the tire just before I started lifting stones. But the first while I did it, it was like when I started tug of war, my grip was really slower. my wrists and my grip and that. Doing the tire, it's a big grip concept. There's a lot in the grip. You need to have powerful forearms for a powerful grip. But now, because I've done, and then because I'm always lifting stones, I'm doing everything with the grip. it doesn't like get sore. I don't feel it at all.
Good man, wow, that's amazing. That is a hell of a strain on your fingertips. I think I know one of the things I noticed about you. Obviously, when you're lifting stones, you're lifting with your hands kind of in this shape. You see that, and obviously that's what you do with the tire flips with stones. But I also noticed when you lifted the dinning that you had that kind of a grip on the rings, as opposed to what we do, or with a tighter grip or locking our thumbs in. You kind of have that. So obviously that comes from having such powerful fingers, I would imagine. Powerful
it's just grip from the fingers alone. But I mean, same with when I was in the building sites. Kind of construction strength. I used to, because when I first started in the construction, I started as a labouring, and then an apprenticeship was a roofing farm.
Okay.
There was only 4 of us working on the farm. So before I could get taught how to actually slate, I had to labour first. Right. So I had to I was spending the morning labouring and getting slates and tiles up at the roof. So I have to park as many slates as I could, stretch my arm out as hard as I can go to my fingertips and lift them up my shoulder and go up the ladder.
Right. Okay.
And everyone used to wait for the ladder to break. It was always bent like that. But then once I filled the scaffolding, I could then start learning. It's the same when I was building as well. It was if a lorry couldn't get into the site, I would just pick up 4 or 5 concrete blocks on my shoulder and walk back and forth with them until we get them all where we need to, and then I could start building, learning. So it was all I parked things up so high that it was always on the fingertips. The strength was coming from. Okay. And of course, tug of war as well. It was always the grip.
Yes.
So I used tacky on the rope, but I never used tacky. I wanted to increase my grip strength. So very, very rarely over the 5 years I did use tacky. I was always used to just rely on grip. And then of course, stones themselves, like you're saying, it's all I do it with my fingers. So there's a grip there.
Oh, yes, because I mean,
translates to the tire quite well.
Good man, that's great stuff. Though it is. I mean, I have to say, I wish you all the best with the tire flipping thing. I'm still blown away that you're going to flip that thing 1,000 times in a day. That's just mind-boggling. So, do you have a date for it yet? I mean, or is it still kind of a work in progress, or do you have a rough time scale when you want to do it?
Well, I want to do it this year.
Okay.
But, I'm planning in once I finish college in end of May. So I'm doing my gym certificate at college just now, and then personal training, but I'll be doing it online.
Right.
But once I finish that, I'm planning, of course, moving to America for a year.
Yes.
Staying with Bill and Holly Crawford over there.
Brilliant.
But then I spoke to the manufacturer, the guy at Double Coin Tires, and told him that I'm planning moving over. And they're going to send a tyre to train with and put it to Bill's so I can train it and get the Bills.
Okay. Excellent.
So they're going to send it over there.
Yeah. And you have 2 very strong guys to train with there, with Bill and Billy. Young Billy, I mean, I've watched his progress recently, and I mean, it's amazing what he's doing. And I mean, he's only 18 or 19?
18,
aye.
But the thing is, I think he's definitely got the potential to be a world champion.
Oh, he has, aye. The rate he's going at the minute, and how young he is, and he's still developing and growing.
Aye.
I mean, that's watch this space, eh? No, it is. But then, I mean, obviously, with the likes of yourself being there, and his dad, that's good experience he's tapping into as well as he's progressing through this, so it'll be good for everybody all around. It'll be healthy.
He's got a lot of good knowledge from his dad, because his dad is, to me, Bill is like the number one stone lifter for me. Taught me a lot, and I look up to him quite a lot when it comes to strength, but not just the strength, just to being who he is.
Oh, he's a hell of a nice guy. He is, yeah. I did one of these podcasts. It was actually Dad and I did it with Bill and young Billy. It was very nice. Yeah, really enjoyed that. But so when's your plan to move out to the States? Then have you got a time scale for that?
Well, I've put my CV over to them.
Okay.
They're going to help. They're like Bill and Holly, like putting that out, and I'm looking online. I'm going to look online nearer the time.
Yeah.
And put my CV out as well. I've updated it so I can send it across.
Okay.
So hopefully in June the plan is, but because my plan is, I might go back into construction, because over there, the construction industry, you can make maybe twice the money over there than what you can do over here.
Okay.
And then I'm also going to be doing seminars, stone lifting and strongman seminars.
Good.
when I'm there, and taking on clients one-to-one, face-to-face clients as well.
Excellent.
And just use a gym, hopefully use a gym over there for the client. I'm planning doing as many seminars. I'd like to do quite a lot of seminars, but in the seminars, I'll be doing strongman, stone lifting, of course.
Yep.
Talk about the history of it all, strongman and the stone lifting, and then also go into goal setting and motivation.
Okay.
Because without the goals, you never get anywhere. You need a goal to push yourself forward.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, absolutely.
You need a motivation to actually go and get going in the first place.
So important. It's absolutely so important. I actually can't go out to the garage to train at all unless I've got something to go out for. You know, if I'm not working towards something, it's like, I'll just not bother tonight. You know? But then if you've got something in your mind that you want to do, then it's like, right, I need to get this done. I need to get those mini goals ticked off, and I need to get this job.
Exactly. Because for me, I have a big goal, but a lot of mini goals in between to reach as well. And then as you get them, you tick them off. Yep. I mean, it's like when you come home from a hard day at work, or maybe your mind's not in it. You need some sort of goal to motivate you to get out and do it. And then every single training session you do is towards that single goal.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. I mean, I have to say, I feel exactly the same. And I mean, I remember even just starting out with the Dinnies, that it was just so far ahead of me. It was just so far out of my reach with my strength, where it was to actually say, I'm going to train towards that, was just far too big. You know, it was almost overwhelming. You know, so I started to set goals like 250 kilos, 275, 300. You know, those, and then you were tipping those off, but all the while getting closer to the main goal, and then eventually it became like a reality. You know, so that's a very good. It really helped me. You know, and it was something I kind of did almost subconsciously, but looking back on it now, obviously it was a sound enough principle, and you talk to other people about it. You know, and in all walks of life, you know, it really is the whole goal setting thing, regardless of whether you're a weightlifter or stone lifter. You know, even in business and life, it is an amazing thing.
I mean, it can translate over to anything, even if your work. You know, maybe you're working on a project. Because I was a technician before COVID. Then half the company got laid off because through COVID and losing contracts. So I was a draftsman and an electronic technician. Yes. So I had deadlines and stuff to work towards all the time. So having goals, even in a project, you work to a little goal, to one goal, then the next, and the next, and the next. If you just try and work to the end product, there's always going to be a mistake or something you've missed.
Aye.
So I translate everything from stone lifting and my training over to in real life.
Oh, yeah, because they all work. Aye. So you're going to America. So if you're going to go to America, you have to come back in August. You do know that, don't you? Because who am I going to get to do the selfie with the Inverstone? Do you know what I mean? You can't just go to America and not come back and be part of the gathering. Do you know what I mean? So I think Bill is actually, you know, he's thinking hard about maybe him and Billy coming over. You know, because I know that him and Billy will complete the father-son thing with the Dinny Stones. All they need to do is just be in the vicinity of the Dinnies, and it'll be done. And I'm kind of really looking forward to seeing that.
100%.
Yeah, so I know he's been restricted this last couple of years with COVID and travel, but it's just looking to me like the world's kind of the wheels are starting to turn again, you know, so it might be a possibility for him, you know. So you might have to either look after his house while he's over here or just come over with him and do the selfie for me at the gathering.
Yeah, well, if I can do that, I definitely would. Definitely. But I'm going to try. That's provided I can go over when I want to go over, as long as I get.
Yes,
I mean, I'm looking for jobs in like construction, back as a draftsman, even technician, or in a gym. Anything, just because I know the money over there just now is a lot better than it is over here.
Yes.
And I'll be really good, but it's going to help my training as well, to train with Billy and Bill.
It is, yeah, to certainly mean it being in a company of guys like that, particularly with how motivated Billy is these days, you know, and he's kind of, you know, he's like a racehorse the minute he's coming on that fast, you know, so you'll have a wee bit of that sort of healthy competition, you know, to actually keep up with them even, you know, and then
I'm looking forward to actually kind of hoping I can pass stuff on to Billy as well to help him progress even further.
Yeah. So I remember the last time I kind of met you when I was over in Scotland. The last time you were talking about the farm strong games. Remember that was a kind of an idea that was in your head. You know, using farm implements. You know, for like a strongman comp. Did you ever develop that any further?
I have been thinking about it, but it's not taken really in a big shape yet. But it will definitely go ahead at some point because, like like I say, when I was in 2012, 13 and 14, I did Power Fun Day. But 2014, I did a big strongman competition.
Yeah.
So I would like to really do one again, because it went really well.
I think it's a great concept, the farm strong thing. We're using farm implements. I really like the concept, I think
it's all just natural. It's a night. I'm going to have deadlift and squat and stuff, but it won't be plates. It'll be like a list of fruit freezers or something like that. All sorts of weird stuff,
Well, so when you have tractor wheels, you have tractor engines, you have all sorts of implements on a farm. I'm sure, with a wee bit of thought, you'll not be too long coming up with some nasty events for guys to do,
Oh, you've got the big weights that you put in front of the tractor. You've got the tractor wheels, everything, So it's. I could use the 2 front tractor wheels and do a big deadlift and just do a normal deadlift from the ground, but do it on a block. To
I get your
wheels, So it's all going to be like weird kind of events. But
really I like the sound of it, because that's what we're doing with the gal. We're trying to think of nasty with new ways to lift stones, because there's lifting a stone off the ground, there's lifting stones on rings, but with the gal, it's really made me think. Sort of trying to think outside the box with stones, all the sort of different things that you can do, because obviously between Brett and myself and Simon over here, we've come up with some pretty nasty ideas. I've got some crackers for this year. But the thing is, the hard thing for me is once you have something like this, like what we had last year, those 5 events we had last year were fantastic. Which ones do you change, and which ones do you keep?
That's the difficult thing. But it needs to improve. It's like every strongman competition, like the world's strongest man. If it was the same year in year out, it's got to change.
That's why they gather, and every year we're trying to add new features to it, change the events. That's why the games were invented in the first place, because we had the Denny stones. And it was great, everybody coming along lifting them. But if you were just doing that year after year, I actually think, that it would be a wee bit overkill. So that's why we brought the games in, and now with the games we have that opportunity to change the events around and come up with nasty new ideas. There is some great ones. Brett's had a couple of great ideas. Simon had a particularly good one, which I'm looking forward to launching. That's really nasty with stones and chains and metal bars. It's very, very good stuff. So it is really good stuff. So tell me about your book. Like the new book, is it done? Is it near completion? How far into that are you?
I've still got a few people to interview yet.
Okay.
But it's all.
I'm available anytime you need me.
I'll be in touch. You worry. I'm going to write about the gathering in there as well. There's going to be a section for that. So I'll have to speak to you at some point about that anyway.
So are you allowed to say about who all you would be featured in it, or we just keep that?
No, I've got like Sejuna Savickas,
okay, brilliant.
Ed Cohen, British powerlifter, and else.
Wow, yeah.
Donna Moore, Lefa Ingalls. Lefa Ingalls, a good strong woman in America. She's one of only 2 women I know of who has actually lifted the Hooseville stone.
That's right, yes.
She took like 7 steps with it. So I was quite excited to speak to her as well. And of course, for featuring the women, it wouldn't be complete without Donna Moore. She's like
absolutely 3 times strongest woman.
She's fantastic,
World's strongest woman, amazing athlete. So she's lifted the Denny's, as has Lefa. I think she lifted the Arnold's, the Gordon Denny ones that they have over at the Stark Centre. She lifted those. I remember, not that long ago, maybe it was probably a wee while ago now, a couple of years now. You keep thinking everything's a wee while ago, but then you forget that we've been sort of out of the picture for 2 years. So add 2 years onto everything that was a few minutes ago.
It almost seems like it was yesterday, but it was 2 years ago or stuff.
I know. So are you calling the book Strength, a Life-Changing Adventure? Is that the title of the book, or is that just...
Yeah, that's what it is, Strength, because it is a life-changing adventure. People have been depressed, have had a bad life and stuff, something going on in their life, maybe breakups or money and job stuff. But they went to the gym, and getting involved in strongman and strength has actually changed their lives for the better.
Oh yeah,
it's helped me in my life a lot, So that's what Strength, a life-changing adventure, because that's what it is. It'll change your life.
Oh, very much so.
So the first person I spoke to, was Odd Hogan. He was the first person.
Really?
So that was the only one I was actually nervous about doing, because it was the first one interview actually ever done in my life.
Right.
But then after that was Jill Mills, the world's strongest woman back in 92, 93.
Brilliant.
Very impressive woman. Then I've got the Welsh Mark, the Welsh Dragon, who's so good. Well, he's Guinness World Record for shouldering a 200 kilogram Martha stone. But I think he's actually done a 205 to 210.
Is that right? I remember you used to do the 170. Do you remember at those games in Wales? Mark used to do the 170 up on your shoulder that nobody could ever do. You know, that was tackless.
Yeah, this stone, yeah. He's the only one that shouldered that, as far as I know. I've got some really good people. I mean, Magnus Magnusson, I've interviewed him. Some great. I'm writing about well, John Todd agreed to. She said I could interview her for it. But I've actually spoke to her already at the gathering. So I'm writing about her and Terry, because a strength book wouldn't be complete without John and Terry Todd.
No, I was watching that. That documentary again, the Commissioner of Strength. That was a really good documentary. And Terry, I mean, it was amazing. Such a sad loss, you know.
I mean, I've got the Webster in there as well, and of course, I'm writing about John Paul Sigmarsson, and David actually gave me a lot of information about him, and told me who to speak to Iceland about him as well. So I've got some really good people. I spoke to Glenn Ross. I spoke to like Twitty Laws as well once early.
Brilliant.
He's in there because he's a special strongman himself. He's something else. He'll always be in the top 10 strongmen in the world, no matter what.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, so I've spoke to 22 people.
Brilliant.
And I've got enough, maybe 10 people to speak to. And I'm writing about the gathering. I'm writing about tug of war, because I did that for a while, about 5 years. Stone lifting, of course. And then at the end of the book, there'll be like a few like powerlifting and strongman and stone lifting training ideas. Some stuff on training and technique and that, to do a few things just to finish the book off. But it's all about interviewing people and about their journey in their life, how they started and how they progressed in it and what they've achieved. The book's all about giving people motivation. Yeah. You know, because
I'll tell you what, that motivational stuff, when you read, you know, guys like Magnus and Laws, you know, all of their stories, and Big Z, probably, you know, these are the strongest men who've ever lived. You know, and hearing their stories and getting what motivated them, that's definitely, what a great topic. What a great topic for a book. You know, because I'm not entirely sure I've actually read anything that has brought that many people into the one book, you know, into the one place, to all telling their stories. That's good stuff. I'm really looking forward to that. Well, if you need a good, you know, somebody to review it, and, you know, sort of, you know, do a wee bit of correction and stuff for you, I'm your man.
I'll be saying it, didn't you? Because I sent you last year and you had some good ideas and gave us some good feedback.
Yeah, and,
you'll be getting this one as well. So
cool.
Keep a few days free soon.
I will.
You can start reading it.
I will. And I'm easy to pay too. Fish and chips does the trick.
Fish and chips in a drama.
Fish and chips in a drum. But anyway, it doesn't. But Martin and I always kind of have a wee bit of fun with it. The fish and chips thing. It was right, but that kind of came up the first time you met my dad, wasn't it? I can't remember.
It was in 2016. It was
we're doing Stoneland.
Stoneman. I went to had a meal at Patark, and then your dad was sitting next to me. There was a chair left, and your dad said, "Oh, here, Martin." He sat next to me, right? And I was, well, with you and your dad, like you said, we hit it off straight away. Yeah. So we sat next to your dad, and then he said, "Oh, I want to see what Martin's having to get him so strong." And I had fish and chips. It just kind of went from there, you know.
Famous Patark fish and chips, because the fish and chips are spectacular. Like they would add at least 10 kilos onto your deadlift, you know, and maybe 30 kilos onto your stone ring lift.
10 kilos on your belly, no?
And 10 kilos on your belly, absolutely. So tell me about the stone tours. I mean, I know you've done loads of stone tours with guys coming over wanting to see where the stones are, finding history. And you've been one of the guys who would kind of meet up with them, you know, take them around, show them the stones, show them the lifting techniques. I mean, that's a hell of a thing. hell of a lot of your personal time to give up, you know, so it's a really admirable thing to do. Do you still do that, or is that something you have done in the past and don't do so much anymore, or is it still as popular as it always was?
Yeah, well, there was going to be quite a few people coming over last couple of years, but with instructions and stuff, we
Yeah.
couldn't make it. But there's actually a few coming over this year from America and Canada.
Right.
But hopefully it'll be when I'm still here. But yeah, I mean, I haven't done them because of people had to cancel through to COVID.
Yeah. Stalled everything this last couple of years, but I can see the
way before that. And of course, a group, the youth trainee Brian, he came over. He was the second group I took over. There was 7 of them boys came over.
Right, cool.
And, so that it's usually America, Canada, Australia. Anyone wants to come over. I've met up with them and showed them around. And then, of course, as we get around stone to stone, we take in the scenery. I'll give them the history about the stone, what makes it so special. And then, of course, we'll go over lifting technique as well.
Yeah.
And how the technique differs a little from stone to stone.
Oh, yeah.
But the one thing I say to everyone, you stick to the basics. You know, because you stick to the basics, and then it'll minimise any injury it could happen. Yeah. And then also, if you stick to the basics and lift that way, then you can utilise your strength better.
Yes.
But then once after that, you'll find the best way to lift for yourself. You know, it's like 2 examples would be like the Darwin stone. Yes. Or the Braving stone, right? Because it's kind of oval shaped, both stones. Myself, I always lift a stone lengthways. That's how I can utilise my strength and get my legs positioned and everything better. And then, but some people like to tan it.
The narrow sort of style.
The long way, lift it that way. And then can narrow, so then once I lift it onto the lap, then manoeuvre it and go from there. Or like the Fianna stone. A lot of people lift it from the bottom because it's flat. Yes. And then manoeuvre it. Once you get onto their thighs, then manoeuvre it into the position to stand up with it. Yeah. But me, I prefer, like I say, I lift all the stones lengthways. So I've got like the heaviest, the bottom side was the heavier side on my right side, so that's my stronger side. Yes. And then, because I'm right-handed, and then the smaller, the top of it, the smaller side, and my left side, I just lift up that way. Yeah. But there's no one way to lift a stone. It's like deadlifting. There's how many ways to do a deadlift, you know. Yeah. I mean, people do it sumo way. They do wider grip, narrower grip. Yeah. Just past shoulder width with their feet, shoulder width feet. Everyone's got their own way, style how to lift, like a deadlift. Yeah. But all stick to the same basic technique. Yeah. It's the same as stones. Just stick to that technique. So you can utilise your strength to the maximum, and then you can minimise the effect of an injury actually happening. Yeah. But after that, you'll find your own way to lift it, you know. Just as long as you keep I always say, feet, hands, legs, and lift. So get your feet in position, your hands, then your legs, and then, so you've just got a slight bend in your legs, your back straight, your arms are as straight as they possibly can be, because of the stone. Lift up on the thigh. Once it's on the thigh, put your chest into it, and then bear hug it really tight, and deep breath and stand up. Yep. Just stick to them basics, but you'll find your own way to lift the stone. It suits yourself. Yeah, I think as you say, I mean, there are variations on themes or on technique, but I mean the basics. You know, I mean, for example, you wouldn't lift a stone right in front of you. You wouldn't pull it out from a foot in front of you. Or you wouldn't lift it from behind you, from the side. It's getting yourself over, getting it lined up with your feet in the right position. You know, exactly the same like you said, like a deadlift. All of those things have to kind of line up. But one of the things I talk to a lot of people about, and you've probably done it yourself, you're probably aware of it yourself, is it kind of came from the days of being a golfer. They called it a pre-shot routine. And I kind of developed that for myself, you know, for like lifting on rings or lifting stones, like a pre-lift routine. You know, so for example, every time I go to the rings on the Denny stones, you know, I kind of put my feet in place first, you know, and make sure I'm nice and square. And then I focus on my right hand, make sure that grips, because that's the point of action for me. So I get that really, really, and then I'll kind of shift and get my
my hand on the back ring, then get my feet back in position, get my hips nice and forward. You know, it's a sequence of events that I repeat every single time, whether there's 100 kilos on the rings or maybe 300 plus on the rings. It's going to be exactly the same sequence of events. And I've started doing that with stone lifting, with deadlifting, just with every kind of lifting that I do.
Yeah, you should. Cause I mean, I'm the same.
You know?
I mean, no, it doesn't matter. The lightest stone I've got in the garden is 42 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
The heaviest 185.
Wow.
But whether I'm lifting the 42
mm-hmm.
or going to lift the 185,
mm-hmm.
My setup and everything is the exact same.
Yeah.
The basic, the way I lift is the exact same. Nothing changes. Because there'll be that one time you change the lighter stone or lighter weight, that's when you're hurt. Because see, if you, for example, if I go and lift, say, a 100 kilogram stone or lighter, and my feet isn't in the correct position, and then my toes aren't over that middle line, so then the stone is therefore too far forward.
Yes.
As soon as you pick it up, the weight transfers. The weight has got to go somewhere, so it transfers to your lower back.
Yeah.
Right, and that's your weakest link, really. And then you could feel that you could have just that, say, 45 kilogram, 50 kilogram stone. That's more than enough to hit your back. If you pick the stone up and like go back towards you, you know, because that weight, when it's like a building. When you build a house, the weight of the roof has got to go somewhere. So the weight actually transfers. It finds the quickest point back into the ground, into the foundation, and back into the ground again. It's the same as the stone. The weight has got to go somewhere. It doesn't just vanish. So it goes through your body, back into the ground again. Yeah. But it goes through your back. Yes. Your lower. So if anything's going to happen, it's going to be in your lower back.
Oh, it is. I mean, that's anytime I
forward, when it goes in too far forward, too far back, and it kind of swings back like a pendulum. Yeah. The weight goes straight into your back, you know. So that's what I'm saying. The basics doesn't matter what you're doing, what weight the stone is. Stick to the basics, but then you'll find the technique that works kind of best for you to lift that specific stone.
And did you find that when you go through that sequence of events and getting that set up exactly the same, what it does in your mind too, it kind of blocks out all the distractions, because your body goes, the minute you start pressing your feet, then you're in the like kind of, your body goes into like lifting mode. So right, we're going to lift something here. He's doing that sequence of things that he does. So we're going to lift something heavy here. So everything kind of fires in that as well. You know, it gets the head right as well as the body.
And it's like muscle memory, you know, because you do the same thing over and over again. As soon as you stand over the stone, your body kind of just automatically goes into the right position for you. Yeah. So your knees are bent to the right angle, your back's ready, your arms are ready, your fingers are in place. No, it's just like muscle. That's why you need to stick to the same technique every single time. Apart from, you can injure yourself if you go off the basics.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But it's also to help muscle memory. So when you go into a heavier stone, you've got the basics down, but your body can react the way it's supposed to. Everything can work in the order it's meant to work, and you're actually ready for doing it. Yeah. But just stick to the basics, and you'll find your own way to do something.
Absolutely. One of the things that I've seen you do in the past is take quite a bit of time to get your hands in the right position. You know, you're set up fairly quickly with a stone, but I've seen you turn a stone. I've seen you put it upside down, moving it back and forward, just to find the optimum grip. I mean, I think what I've seen a lot of guys do is they kind of get into that and I've got to lift now, and they're as quick as they can get the stone off the ground. Where you just tend to kind of chill and, you know, play around with it, find that your best handhold. You want to talk about that a wee bit?
Well, what it is, because there's also another thing I do once doing that, you get your leg with your feet position, and you look at the stone and you see maybe it's misshapen, right? So maybe it'll get a better balance if I turn it this way, or you put your hands on it, and then you think, well, is that a good grip or no? And then you maybe maneuver it. You feel around the stone. If you're feeling around the stone, you got a better grip at the front. Maybe you'll maneuver it back the way and try and get your other hand to a good grip as well. Yeah. And then once you get a good grip, what you do, I usually lift the stone a few inches off the ground. Just roll it. Roll the stone like 6 inches, just to be sure that I've got the balance of the stone. Yeah. It feels good. You're letting your body, your muscles feel it. You're letting your mind feel the weight of it. Yeah. You let your muscles and your mind know what they're in for when you go and try and get it up your knees. Yeah. but I mean, it's more the row is the biggest thing the row does is just let you know your hand position is good.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to pick it up. It's not got the stone's not got to roll back or roll forward.
Yes, because natural stones, obviously, unlike an atlas stone, which is a balanced stone, so the weight is evenly distributed. When you've got some stones, that you say, I mean, for example, is it the bereavement stone? Is a wee bit heavier than one side than it is on the other, so you've got to kind of compensate that a wee bit, haven't you?
It's not. There is a little bit more weight in one side of it, and if you do have your hands, sometimes if you can, I usually have my hands just slightly forward from like the middle line, just to keep that balance.
Yes.
Because it has thrown a few people off.
Aye, I can imagine.
But I mean, it's called reading the stone.
Yeah.
You know, it's just reading the stone and just working out, because the stone was never meant to be lifted in the first place. Mm-hmm. So it's a puzzle, it's a challenge.
Yes.
So it's reading the stone and working out like the best place to grip it, to hold it. And then once you get it onto your lap, you might have to manoeuvre your hands again to actually get a better grip to lift it up from the thighs to the chest. But then if you can sit down, a lot of people, they tend to kind of, when they get onto the lap, they're standing up too much.
Okay.
So
yes.
the stones always wanting to fall away onto the ground.
Yeah.
If you can practice with a lighter stone and actually put your backside down lower, so you're maybe like your thighs are like parallel or just below parallel.
Yeah.
So maybe your arse is just below your knees.
Unless you've stiff hips like mine. Don't let you get down and low.
It just helps, because if your backside is a bit lower, I just maybe parallel or just below parallel, nothing major. Then the weight, the stone will fall back into you, but the weight, because you're in that position, the weight of the stone will stop you from falling back, and in that position, it'll stop the stone falling forward.
Forward, yes, yeah, I get that.
And then you can then manoeuvre your hands to the right position to lift it again.
Yeah, when I watch all the good stone lifters, lifting, I can see that they've got that nice deep squat position whenever they've got phase one over. When they get the stone onto their lap, that they actually sit right down. Because obviously the lower you sit down, the higher you're able to put the stone on your chest as well. So whenever you're standing up, it's only a small transition onto your shoulder. If you want to do shoulder, if you want to put it onto a barrel.
But then if you're sitting down, squatting down too much, then you're using more energy to get
up.
Like past that, say if you're squatting down, your arse is only maybe like 4 inches away or 3 inches away from the ground.
Yes.
Which I do quite a lot as well. I like to deep squat.
Yes.
Then to get that back, even at 6 inches to maybe your parallel, it's a lot of energy going over that 6 inches. So if you can just go parallel or below parallel, what also helps do is so you can complete phase two from the thighs to the chest. Yes. It allows you, because if your legs are above parallel and the stone wants to fall forward, you're going to find it difficult to readjust your hand position, because you're actually holding the stone from falling down. You are. Yeah. Then you can't actually hold it. So you're trying to hold it in your chest. But you're also stopping it from falling forward. Yes. And then it makes it harder to actually get your chest into it. If you can sit down so the stone sits comfortably on your lap, you can then pull it in so there's close any kind of gap between your stomach and the stone. And then don't just like push your chest in, actually sink it down into the stone, and then deep breath and then stand up. Then the stone will be higher up in your chest. In theory, you could actually maybe almost, if you're in that nice sort of balanced position, you could almost take your hands away. The stone would almost sit there itself. Just like me, where you're sitting too high, which I do. If I take my hands away, the stone just falls off my lap. So I do have to hold it, and then so you always have to have one point of contact when you're trying to adjust your hands. That makes life awkward for me, because I'm stiff and old. That's what it is. If you're in that good position, you can take your hands off it, and the stone won't go anywhere. And like I say, because the angle you're in, the stone stops you. Can you stop the stone from going forward? And the stone is far enough forward still, stop you rolling and falling back. It balances you. So it all kind of balances itself out, Yeah, I have a stone at home here. I call it Magoo. Weighs 102 kilos. A wee bit heavy for you. It's about 102 kilos. But I mean, the top of it's round, almost like an atlas stone. Okay, but when you turn it on its side or on its back, there's so many grip
positions you can actually, I would say that I've probably found about 6 or 7 different ways you can lift it just with the smooth side facing up. But then you can actually turn it upside with the smooth side facing down, where it becomes almost like an atlas stone then, so there's no grip holes at all.
Right.
It's a cracking stone, so I'm going to work with that more over the summer to help improve my technique. I can get it onto my lap and I can stand up with it okay when I use, there's a couple of really secure grip holes on it, but I want to try and sort of move it to positions where it's actually harder to hold, and to sort of build my strength that way, So it's a great stone. It's called Magoo after a friend of mine called McGowan, and he let me stay in his house. And outside his house was a beach. It's right on the beachfront, and the beach is just full of granite boulders. So I call this one after him. That's his nickname's Magoo. So the stone's called Magoo. We're probably going to use it at one of the events, stone to shoulder. It's a great one for stone to shoulder for reps. I think it'll be a fantastic event. 100 kilos is just about right for those guys. So it is, when you're probably going to 8, 9, 10 reps, maybe,
It's quite good what you're saying there, because I do the same thing. I've got my favourite stone that I train with is the 136 kilogram stone. Mm-hmm. It's got a really flat bottom to it. If you turn it up the other way, round it, so it's harder to grip.
Yes.
So like say, that is good. If you lift it with the top side down, it's good. It's good for training for like atlas stones, because you've got a round area. But the other side is totally flat, so it's like lifting a concrete block.
Yeah.
So once you grab it, once you put your fingers under, you can't lose your grip. Your grip's there. But the other way, you've got to push your forearms into it more.
I really squeeze into it. Yeah. What about forearms? Do you think forearms play a big part in lifting the stone off the ground, or is it mainly fingers, or is it the combination of both?
The forearms only kind of come into it when it's a rounder stone.
Uh-huh.
The atlas stones or the Casamingas stone.
Yep.
But generally with natural stones, it's all about grip.
Uh-huh.
There's not so much. I mean, you need strong forearms, because the strong forearms is what gives you the grip.
Yeah.
A lot of folk think it's the fingers, just working the fingers, but it's actually the forearms that give you your fingers a grip.
Well, that's what the
tendons are all connected to the muscles.
Uh-huh.
So it's strong forearms that give you the grip. But then, but generally when lifting a natural stone, it's all really in the grip, more than anything else. But the forearms really come into play when it's more of a rounder stone.
Right.
Otherwise, like what I'm saying, like the 136 kilogram stone, which got a flat bottom to it. When I put my fingers in there, I don't need to squeeze into it at all. Yeah. It's just like my fingers are taking the weight, and that's it. But when I turn it the other way, because there's not so much grip for the fingers, because it's rounder. Yeah. I've got to sink in my forearms as well.
Okay. Whenever you said about that stone, I thought you said 36 kilograms. I said, what's he doing training with a 36 kilogram stone? 136 kilograms. Now
that's my starting weight, like. That's my starting weight when I train. 36.
Oh goodness, okay. Would you do any warm up on your lower back or anything before you go in, or do you just go straight in at that kind of level?
Well, I use maybe bands just to warm up.
Aye.
Get a little loose, and then I'll just jump into 136. And then I'll jump into 156, and then go from there into 176. But the only time I lift lower is when I'm doing overhead pressing.
Right.
That's when I'll start. I'll start with. I'll just pick up the 42 kilograms, just do a few reps, just to loosen off the shoulders. And I like to, when I'm waiting to press, especially with when I start off with a 42 kilogram stone, I'll do a few reps, but then I'll also do a couple of reps where I lift the stone up and just like push it as far as I can, and just stretch the shoulders right up. So I'm just going like that, and then you go a lot further.
Okay.
You get that stretch in the shoulders with the weight there. But it's only 42, so it's not a major weight for me, just me to do that.
Just engaging all the muscles,
But at the same time, you just do the weights. Everyone just has to do the weights that they can, which is right for them. Yeah. Because as long as someone puts in the effort, it doesn't matter if they're lifting a 50 kilogram stone or a 150 kilogram stone.
No.
As long as if they put in max effort, then both lifts are just as good.
Yeah. Well,
But then once after I've done the 40, I'll jump into 85 and then go from there.
Yeah, but the stone lifting, generally speaking, stone lifting, you're not trying to beat the guy beside you or beat the guys going before you. You're trying to beat yourself. It's the personal thing in it. These things are there to be lifted, so it's a challenge to get them lifted and then move on to the next one. and the next and the next and the next. Tell me about your Iceland thing. I know you have a big sort of Husafell replica, and you filled it up. You filled it up with enough concrete to give it about half the weight of the Husafell? Is it about 90, 100 now?
115.
115. Okay.
It was a 50 kilogram. It's 115. Yes. But I'll just mention one more thing about the press before I go into that.
Of course, yes, sorry.
Last time I was in America at teaching out at the games, and Steve Smith, who's got the world record for pressing the concrete block overhead, 165.
Yeah.
He came over and I was doing the same thing with him. I was getting him to do a few reps with a lighter weight and then get the stone really, once he's there, can push with both hands, push it up so stretch your shoulders out a little bit. Yeah. And he said it did help. And then, so it's a lot of things like that. It can just help you, just even if it's just mentally, Brilliant. If you think,
I actually seen Steve Smith break that record. I'll tell you a good story about Steve. I actually met him at the Arnold's. We were all backstage, where we're kind of getting warmed up for the Denny stone lifting whole time. Steve was part of the crew on the Arnold's, so he was in the back line where, it was Mark Felix there, there was Old Haugen, Bill Crawford, myself, we're all getting kind of warmed up. And Steve comes over and he says, "Can I have a look at those?" So he kind of walks over to them, kind of stands over them, grabs them, picks them up, sets them down, and away he went. He went, "Aye, dead on, I think they're all right, they're heavy enough." But it wasn't like...
Steve's a really strong man, like.
He's a strong guy, nice fella.
Over the last couple of years, I've given him a little help with stone lifting and stuff, and just went over some technique like these bench press and stuff with sore wrists. So I just said to him what can change the technique a little bit and stuff like that. But he's world class. He's got the world record in the stone press, but and everything he does, especially stone lifting, lift 180 kilogram stone just like that, like it's nothing.
I know he can.
He's a strong lad.
He's very welcome to. I have to say, he's one of the guys that kind of, because I was nervous, over at the Arnold's, when I realised just how big I think it was, and had guys like him, they were super friendly, and kind of just put me at my ease. They did, so I'm very grateful for that. So does he still hold that record, the stone press record?
Aye. I'm not sure if he's going for a higher. I know I'm not sure, but he's still got it. But then, speaking of the Arnold's, I interviewed Jim Lorimer.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, of course. Jim Lorimer is him and Arnold Schwarzenegger was the two that started the Arnold Classic.
That's right. Yeah.
So I wrote about 8 pages because there's so much you can write about it, and I did a little bit about Jim, a little bit about Arnold himself, and then with different events and stuff that's actually held within the Arnold Festival. But mostly sticking with the strongman, but. Mentioning that stuff as well. But I've sent it over and they seem to quite like what I wrote. Good. So that's
Are you going to attend the Arnold this year if you're over?
Well, I'll be. I'm going to go next year because I'm going to miss it this year.
Right.
But I'm planning going. I'll still be there when it's on next year in March. So I'll be going.
Of course, yeah.
I'll be going in March next year. I'll be going to. And then I'm hoping to actually meeting Jim. I mean, I met Jim face to face on the video call, and then I'm hoping to actually meet him in person and maybe have a coffee or something, Because he's such a interesting guy. He's like a David Webster. He's kind of like two of the same. They've done so much in their lives.
Yeah.
And about the same age, and there's so much they've contributed to world strength, and it's just amazing. It's like Terry Todd, what they've all contributed is just something.
Special. I mean, you can do. Yeah, fantastic. So much information and knowledge that those guys have and have passed on. I think if they passed it on, because to lose all of that would be horrible. It would,
You've got to enjoy what you do, especially when you teach it. You've got to love what you do. It's got to be your passion. It's got to be who you are. It's got to be part of what you are. It's got to be in your soul. Yes. Can really teach something, anything, but especially teaching someone about the health. It's got to be part of who you are. It's got to be buried deep within you, so you can then you've got to enjoy passing on the knowledge. You've got to when you pass it on, you've got to come alive and really, tell them everything.
Look at the guys that we lift with and hang out with and talk to. I mean, everybody I've talked to on this podcast. You look at the passion that they all have, and it's like, that's why I really enjoy these, because it gives guys like you a chance to kind of, you can see the passion coming out of you. You know what I mean? I generally plan these for about 40-45 minutes, but invariably they go on for like twice actually. But that's okay. Listen, we're not in a rush anywhere, and I just
Okay.
love
End of
delving
the
into
day, we could probably speak for like 5 days.
until we can. Brilliant. So tell me about your Husafell. Do you have plans then?
Yeah, well,
Just a Husafell thing, or is it Iceland in general? All the stones over there?
well, I'm going to start with the Hoosefell and the Drickfick stones.
Right.
And then I'm going to go back for a second trip and go around as many as I can.
Excellent.
I'm starting off with just the Hoosefell and the Drickfick stones, just to start with.
Many of those, five of those in there? 5 Drickfick stones in there?
Four.
Yeah, okay.
4.
Brilliant.
But I mean, I was lucky enough that before COVID and stuff happened, I was still working as a technician.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a fabricating part of the farm as well.
Yeah.
So, because my job was just building like underwater light systems and power supplies, and then doing all like the electrical drawings and stuff like that for the guys who were rigging stuff up on site.
Right.
And all like instructions how to build stuff and that. That was my side of things.
Brilliant.
And but then we had let's say the fabricating side out the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a lot of fabricating drawings, but I never actually been much freaking for welding and stuff.
Yeah.
So there was some steel that was wasn't used. It was left over for something.
Right.
So I went and asked the boss if I could like have some of that steel.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to buy it off him, but he just gave it to me,
Brilliant.
And then I got them to cut it for me, and then they welded it up.
Mm-hmm.
I did a card drawing for them and gave them the sizes and the card drawing what I wanted. And then went out and cut it for me and welded it, and then I took it home and painted it. And it weighed 48 kilograms, so I put in 2 kilogram weights to make it up to 50. But then it was kind of becoming a pain in the backside to fill it every time with the weights and stuff, and they were kept clunking back and forth with inside the steel and that. So I just thought, right, I'll fill it with concrete. So I filled it 3/4 of the way with concrete, so it's now 115, which is a better starting weight.
Yeah.
And then there's still a good space at the top. I can put in the weights right up to like 200 kilos.
Excellent.
So I mean, I can.
What's the Husafell weight? Is that 190? The Husafell's 189, 190, something like that, isn't it?
186.
186. Is that what it is? Right. Okay. So it's roughly the same weight as the larger of the 2 Denny stones then.
I mean, I can fill the Hoosefell stone. I've got to 200 kilos and pick it up and go for them. So I can lift the weight. It's just doing it for the distance now.
50
yards.
So
I've only got a little garden. I can just go kind of back and forth a little bit, But I might have to take it down in a field and actually.
I draw it the circle. Yeah, because you're going to have to carry it around the goat pen, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the weight's not an issue. I can pick it up easy enough. But it's just I'll just have to make sure I can do the full circle with it.
Well, it's great to have the implements now. I mean, training in the right way, like guys train up the Denny's on rings as opposed to training on a barbell makes such a difference. And having that piece of kit that you have, and I've seen a few guys now with those. I think Jimmy Gorian has one. I've seen a few guys making these kind of Husafell molds, and it's a great idea. It's really awesome.
We're just lucky that we had a fabricating part of the farm out in the same place I work, because I got I tried some 56-pound weights with James Graham, and he gave me his old steel log.
Oh, cool, okay.
But it took Olympic weights. So I took the log to work, and I got a fabricator to cut the sides off and put on new bars so I could put on the standard weights plates to it. So
brilliant.
And then of course I got that, and then when I first started training for the Denny stones, I made my own. I did an arcade drawing. I got the fabricators to make me a set of rings.
Excellent.
Pins, and I had the rings for them. So then I could start training for them.
Yep.
I'll put the card drawing I did into the book, so other people could use it as well.
Okay, good.
I've had quite a good bit of feedback for that, because I've got a few people have actually made them sell the dinner lifting rings from the card drawn from the book, and they've started training with that. So I've had quite a good bit of feedback for that. Like,
oh, that's really good. That's really good because what I have, it's just in the notes. I've sort of written out, the heights and the dimensions, just because I get asked it so many times. I just basically copy and paste that in, because it saves you writing it out every single. I was writing it so many times. I thought I'll just write it down here, save it in my notes. Then I just copy and paste it into anybody's message that asks me, and I've got a few. We diagrams that it did as well.
That's why I wrote the book. That's the same reason I wrote the book. I was getting so many questions about the same thing over and over again. I was spending a lot of time giving people feedback. And I just thought, well, I'll put it in the book, and then they can all get the same answers off of that,
Excellent, mate. Excellent. Listen, Martin, I think we've certainly we've covered a lot of ground tonight, and it's been fabulous talking to you, chum. No, it is. I'm hopefully getting a wee trip over. Maybe take a wee trip over in the weather gets a bit better on the bike, and maybe just do a wee rip around, say hello to a few folks, and then get some groundwork done for the gathering. So I'll give you a shout when I'm ready to do it. Hopefully you'll still be in Scotland at that stage, and we'll get out for some fish and chips and a dram, maybe.
Oh, a few drams and
absolutely. Well, listen, there's a lot going on. I mean, that's with the tire flipping. Going over to America for a year. You've got your Iceland trip coming up, all of these things that you're going to do.
I've actually got a few books in the works. I've got a kids book as well.
My goodness, right? Okay.
I've got a kids book as well about stone lifting.
Really? Yeah.
But it's going to be a series. It's about a squirrel who's got a house in a tree, and it's more from my little daughter. I might publish it and see how it goes. But there's a storm happens, and a big stone falls in front of his shed, but he can't get his nuts, his food. So he has to go to a local gym and start training at the gym, and he comes and lifts the stone out of the way.
Brilliant, love it.
And then we started writing a novel as well. So I've got a novel as well, just so something I thought would be a bit of fun, just to make up like a novel and write stuff. So
right, okay.
I've got quotes for that, and I'm writing a book in like for the hobbyist kind of electronics and robotics kind of hobbyist as well.
Excellent.
And that's that'll be a couple of years before I get.
You're definitely not going to get bored. So you're not.
No, I've got a few things going on.
Oh, you definitely have plenty.
I guess the busiest year, I think.
All the best for them, mate. All the very best for them.
So it's going good.
Well, I've really enjoyed chatting to you, as always. I mean, like you say, when we start chatting, we could probably chat for about 5 hours and still have stuff that we didn't cover. So. But,
the last thing I'll say before we go,
yes.
Just so stone lifting, as it's a strength culture, it's something that everyone can enjoy.
Yes.
From family. In fact, it's a family thing. It's not. It started off just as men, just back in the day, just pitting them strength against each other, or giving each other a challenge to see who wins an argument instead of going fisticuff. But I mean, today it's all about the history, the lift itself, the challenge. I mean, little kids can do it. Can women are doing it? Men are doing it. It's a whole family affair. So I mean, as a whole, stone lifting encourages everyone. Doesn't matter where you're from in the world, what colour you are, what religion you are, anything like that. Stone lifting is for everyone, and everyone's invited.
Do you know what really?
Just have fun and be respectful. And that's it.
Do you know what really turned me on to that was when we did the virtual gather. Because obviously focusing on the gathering, you're focusing on sort of, the strongest ladies, the strongest men, lifting stones, and that's where your attention is, because that's generally what you see when you go on the internet. But whenever we invited people to send in videos, naively I sort of half expected that's what we were going to get, was all the strongest people, putting. And then we had 5-6-year-old kids sending in stuff, girls, boys, with guys in their 60s and 70s lifting stones. With people from all over the world, like every race, colour, creed, you name it. It was fantastic to see it, and it really showed me just how widespread stone lifting is.
But it is really just lifting stones. It kind of unites everyone, and it's something that's really special.
It's very cool.
It's not like just going to the gym and then go to our gym and lifting the same weights at a different gym or whatever.
Well, they were around before there were gyms.
Right, it's something unique, it's special. It can unites everyone. It's just something. It's kind of hard to explain how it can make you feel. I mean, I can remember how I felt when I first seen the Ember Stone, but then the biggest thing I can remember feeling was when Peter gave me information to go and look at and photograph the Bravenstone and let him know how it felt to lift it. It took me like an hour to find it because I went past it and I went down the wrong direction and stuff. But then once I sightseeing the churchyard, your heart starts to go, and then I parked up and I walked through the gate and I could see the stone, and then it was kind of an unreal kind of feeling to actually walk down and see it, and then to actually lift it as well. You know, but just walking down and seeing it, it was just kind of a surreal feeling.
I was doing a gig in Scotland. It was the year 2000. You know, way before I'd done any weight training or anything like that, and we were playing in Aberdeen. So we were, and I remember thinking to myself, because I mean, obviously I'd never seen the Denny Stones. You know, I'd always seen pictures of them and stuff. I wasn't there when Dad did it. I was at home, and I said to one of the crew, I said, "Come on, we'll take a drive down. You know, we'll see if I can find the Denny Stones." You know, so we actually took a drive down the next morning, because the rest of the guys they're all sort of down with hangovers after the gig and stuff. You know? Like, come on, we get up early, we'll head down. So we did. We took the van, drove down. We actually seen the bridge. Remember, seeing it was like, there's the bridge, and it was a feeling of. It was like when you watch a magical movie, you know, when you're a kid. You know, it was this mythical place, like Brigadoon had come to life, you know. And then we seen the Stones, and it was a proper sharp intake of breath. You know, and I seen these things that they were actually there sitting at my feet in front of me. You know, it was an amazing feeling.
Oh, it's really the same. You know, it's just, but that's exactly. It's just trying to put into words is more difficult than what you think. But
it is.
You know,
it's a feeling as well as it really is. Yeah. Well, on that note, mate, it's been great chatting to you, and I wish you all the best with all that you've got coming up. My goodness, that's a full schedule you have there. So the best of luck. Best of luck, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Oh yeah, I'll keep you informed of how things are going, and I'll give you the book when it's ready to be read.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
What you think, like?
That'll do.
So just good criticism. So.
Yeah. I'll be kind, I promise. I'll see you later, buddy. You take it easy. Thank you. And thank you everybody for watching. Thank you. See you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.